Well, that was one of the best things I've ever seen here. I've been doing the show for 25 years.
That's what happened. Crunch all the numbers. Does it make sense? No. Math ain't math. Mad motherfuckers ain't making rent. So,
You know, it's such an interesting thing with like some people's relation to noise is such an interesting thing that some people, how they define music. And it's like, I don't know. Like when did stuff that wasn't conventionally melodic or pleasing make sense to you all?
Just personally, like in our lives?
Yeah, just like...
I mean, my story is generally, I think I liked jazz, and I think I accidentally bought a late John Coltrane album when I was too young to really get it.
Yeah.
And I listened to it, and the first time I heard it, I was like, this is fraudulent. This is nonsense. This is not what music is supposed to be. This doesn't sound like what I thought it would. But in those days, it was $18.99 for a CD, and I was committed. Like that was my disc that month.
And that is how it is also. Like, it's like when you bought it, first of all, you looked for it, and then you found it, and then you bought it, and you're just like, well, I got this. I'm going to do everything I can to like this, because I just, it is such a funny thing that now, like, it's such an advantage now for, people growing up that they're just like, oh, I heard about this band, like Can, and now I just heard everything. I got everything, which like I remember looking for months for those albums.
Yeah, totally.
And then
I'm not always sure it's an advantage, but
it's different.
It's different.
The consumption might not be the advantage.
I think I find it so much more difficult now to like really get into stuff than I used to, and that part of that's just getting old. But the other part is that like you used to have to like work for it a little bit, and like when you wanted to find who an artist was associated with, you had to read some liner notes and like do
The experience is gone of going to the record store and going to all of your favorite band's sections to just see if there was an album you hadn't heard of.
Yeah.
Right.
That experience is completely gone. Yeah.
I just remember when like I knew an album was coming from some band like on like an indie label that the release schedule is a little up for grabs in terms of when it actually shows up in the store. Just being like calling, just being like, did the Volcano Suns album yet?
Oh yeah, man.
It'd be like, not yet. Then clearly they knew it was that annoying guy just wouldn't stop, or they're probably just like, we need to order 80 copies of that because everybody's calling. It was one kid 80 times. It really is the relationship to it is so interesting that like everything can be at your fingertips, and like you're competing with just everything now because we're in such like a hardware is how things change now, as much as like like the idea like oh, this era of music is this and this era it's almost like the hardware is the face of change for stuff, like how you consume the music, where you used to just be like, hey, you have a record player, and it's like, oh, now I have a CD player, or like you had a record player, then I got a tape player, the CD player, like that was decades worth of technology, and now it's just like you got the iPod, you got the iPad, you got the and it's just like, and it feels like people now, music is like more internal for them, like it's like more private, and it just like comes down to like where that is as much about the consumption of music as the music is the how you're listening to it.
Well, and the accessibility has made it just like backgrounds to everyone's life at all times. It's your commute, and it's completely inside your head. It's not a box that lives in a part of your house that you sit down and pay attention to. It's just absolutely constant in every situation. And I don't know, we battle that just, I think, because we are a music that is impossible not to like. You can't put us on the background. We're not music for a dinner party.
No.
It's not going to be on a chill out playlist.
Yeah.
We're not going to get these millions of Spotify plays just being on like ambient, relaxing spa vibe or whatever.
You're not going to have some Spotify. Not a...
Wait for the next album, though.
Like coffee shop. It's always like those playlists where it's just like smooth coffee shop. and then there's like... Those playlists always like fall apart after like 5 songs anyway. You're just like, this isn't smooth the coffee. So like, you're so far off
what
target.
Coffee shops are you going to?
Just like What are some like proud things that you've managed to turn into music, like for like crazy sources and things.
I'm pretty proud of our song that's just an alarm clock.
Yeah.
We didn't play it, but on your show, but we do have a song that the beat is really just a recording of an alarm clock.
Of your alarm clock.
Of my wife's alarm clock, which she had to retire after that song.
That sounded very
annoying.
Pointed to her to make a song out of the worst sound in her
Well, it was
life.
this idea of a sound that's like actually not that like timbrally harsh, but is conceptually harsh because it wakes us up every morning and says and so to make something beautiful out of something that's like kind of culturally unpleasant as opposed to just timbrally unpleasant. It was sort of the idea there.
Of it, the meaning of it.
And it was a lot harder to do than you would think listening to it because it really just sounds like a recording of it.
Took some work.
It is interesting though with like just that earlier thing you had mentioned in the like listening to late period Coltrane and stuff like that, like the squall, like that was for me like it's almost like the sound of like a refrigerator humming is like not that far away from like the sounds I heard on like Bomb Squad mixes and stuff. You're just like kind of like it's just what you're doing with the sound. And I mean Bomb Squad has to be just a huge
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
That's the beginning of we've always sort of said that was like the beginning of all this for us personally, and I think for the type of music we make. When we first came out in like 2012 or so, like a lot of the interviews we would do, people would thought it like I guess we were getting these questions as if we were somehow like out of nowhere. This is sui generis, like totally new music, and then we'd invented something. And we always wanted to emphasize it's like, well, I think it's a logical extension out of Public Enemy or something like that. Like that this and that early hip hop was experimental. It was like making music out of what you have around, like the trash, your family's records, the broken equipment you looted during the blackout in New York, like all these sort of things, like and like hacking your hardware to do turntablism, like to scratch records, which is like not what they're designed for. Yeah, no, for me I'm grateful for a lot of things, but one thing I'm grateful for is that I got to come up when I came up with and like. Because like those records, like It Takes a Nation of Millions was just like I remember I just drove around and I just kept driving around where I was just like, I can't believe this is like that. There's an album of this, and it was so intense. And then just later, I'm just like, you learn about like, oh, there's an ESG sample on there, and like you hear, like you just the whole thing starts to reveal itself. But it's like they were ahead of everybody the whole time. Yeah, I mean, I remember being so jealous in third grade. My sister went to go see Public Enemy. She's older than me, and she got to go, and I was in third grade. And my parents decided it was a little too rough for me. But she brought me back a T-shirt that I wore like every day of third, fourth, fifth grade. I still have that shirt. It's wrecked.
Well, what was the first show you were allowed to see?
I saw Diggable Planets.
Okay,
in sixth grade. I saw Diggable Planets. And now Ishmael from Diggable Planets, if you'll remember them, he's he works at Sub Pop Records. He's a label mate, but he's also the
he's also an A&R there.
So he's like I think he's the one.
It's a good bit of synergy.
He's the one who they were like, does Ish like clipping? Should we sign them?
We did a track together.
I told him that when we first met in person. I was like, man, my first concert was with you, and he was like, I'm so old. But he was also like 17 at that show. So I'm like, whatever, you weren't that old, bro.
I mean, my first concert by myself was a Souls of Mischief concert that we went to together. Actually, we've known each other for a very long time, but my first concert was probably a P-Funk concert.
We used to go to his dad took us to see P-Funk All Stars once a year for most of our childhood.
What was your first? How do you remember?
My first like show that I went to on my own without my parents' involvement, like loud show, was that punk ska band, the Hippos.
Okay.
Who I went to see just because friends were going, and I went to the barn at UC. I grew up in Riverside. The barn at UC Riverside is where all the punk shows were. And I think the first that was like really when I first started going to shows, probably in ninth grade, and that was the Hippos. I'm pretty sure that's the first one. I saw a bunch of like actually like pretty cool like I saw Laurel Aitken there, and Some pretty cool older ska stuff there too. But.
That's cool.
Yeah. Well, I saw Rick Springfield.
Wow.
Hey, not bad.
Hell yeah.
That was, yeah. I was being a good big brother, taking my sister to see her favorite Rick Springfield. But the crazy thing is, Sparks opened for Rick Springfield. So, like, the first band I guess I ever saw was Sparks.
That's
live.
That's
amazing. Bonkers.
Yo.
Like, and then, like, I asked Rick Springfield about it like a few years ago. I was like, yeah, I saw you. Sparks was the opening band. He's like, people hated Sparks. Wow. He's like, wow, that one was for me. And like my fans, the 14-year-olds did not want Sparks.
I feel like we did a bit of a tour opening for the Flaming Lips a bunch of years ago. I think it was the same vibe. Like they were really into us, and their fans were not.
Yeah. Like, you know, it's those shows where somebody from the band has to come out and tell the audience, like, hey, this is one of our favorate bands.
Please stop
we need you to be nice to them.
Yeah.
And please welcome. It's just like we're gonna have to soften the blow.
To be fair, the Flaming Lips fans are really nice.
Yeah,
right? They cultivate a very nice
They weren't gonna
crowd,
throw things
but
at
they
us.
definitely were like, they had dropped their drugs a little too early for us to be coming up while we were playing. Like they should have waited. Like you'd see their eyes.
Sure.
Just,
Like,
Yeah. Not with this playing. I'm not ready. This is not. I wanted to hear something a little easier.
Yeah.
Now with there's an interesting thing with all the words, like how it's so rapid fire. It becomes like it's like for me, it's like I can choose to like listen to the words, or to just take it as just like another instrument, and because it is like it fits right into the fabric of everything.
Yeah, I mean, early on, a lot of stuff, like I was kind of the only rhythmic element of the song. Also, not the only rhythmic element, but like we would kind of use the lyrics as like the spine, like the thing that you would hold on to rhythmically. And so yeah, there's definitely is that in there that we've like gotten very good, or like I've gotten very proficient at this like very precise kind of delivery that like helps follow along with just where we are in the song, whether or not you're following the music.
It's funny, we've learned to sort of trade off who's the predictable element here. Like if the beat is kind of really all over the place, then the cadence of the rapping needs to be very very ordered, you know. And if it's the opposite, then we can make a really sort of ordered thing, and the cadence of the rapping can be a little freer. But
yeah. Oh, look, this was so cool. I'm so happy you came down and did this. I really appreciate it. So you're going to do shows next year? Is that?
Yeah, we just finished our touring for the year. So
for this year, but we just announced shows in February.
In February. Yes, that's right. We announced them. Sick.
All right.
Not only are we allowed to, we're supposed to.
Yeah, that's the one thing we were supposed to say.
Right,
is
well,
that
we're saying it.
Pre-sale tickets are tomorrow. They go on sale tomorrow. And then non-pre-sale tickets go on sale on Friday. The only way you can get the pre-sale tickets is with a code that you get from seeing the thing on our Instagram. I don't know what the difference is anymore, but that's
I think we're gonna.
I think we're posting the code tomorrow,
Sure.
so it's the same.
Tomorrow, Wednesday morning,
We're so good at
there's
this.
going to be a code. Everybody go
There
to
may be
Instagram.
several codes. I don't really know how this works, but like you'll be able to buy tickets tomorrow.
Well, it's amazing. The album is so great. This is just a total thrill. And I thank you so much for coming down and being a part of everything here.